clear.
This is What the Flock Radio's Birds of a Feather, and I'm reading from very, very small type. Best laid plans, something wrong with the format. You know, we're always talking about the format. Well, here it is. See if I can read this. It says, this is What the Flock Radio's Birds of a Feather. We are an indie music-focused show rife with witty, fuck-laden, insanely interesting, and unhinged banter. Our thematic submissions will confuse, infuse, and delight you, while our fascinating fun features fluster, flummox, fulfill, and thrill you. And I'm Professor P-Soop, international rock legend, amateur wildlife photographer, radiant savant, and even if the extended warranty on my brain had not expired, I still would not bring it back, because this thing is working well enough for me. But of course, I don't really ask that much of it, even when doing the show. And let's face it, they don't make them like that anymore now, do they? So I will defer to my co-host, Christina.
Yeah, see, they don't make them that way anymore, and that's okay. That means you're a bona fide original. You're the OG. You're the real deal.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. So, well, as you all know by now, I am the vocalist for the dark alt-rock band Ascent. That's ASNT, and you can find us on asnt.rocks. And I like to do my little potentially lame, but that's all I can come up with opening. And it is another session or another Whodat.
I pretty much ace the Whodat. So
you do.
Yeah.
You really do.
You make him so easy, though.
He's a seismophobic. He was friends with Elvis. He wrote a song about his dog. He doesn't have a formal musical education. Some call him Percy. He read books and collected stamps before becoming a rocker. He recorded one of the band's albums confined to a wheelchair, and the band's 8th album was recorded in ABBA's studio. Upon hearing his own early work, he said, I really should have shut the fuck up.
Mr. Robert Percy Plant.
That's correct.
I knew the nickname. For
Damn,
some reason,
I almost cut that too.
You started out, and I was thinking Carl Perkins, and then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Wheelchair, yeah, the presence was recorded. He was mostly seated, mangled ankle from an accident, and lost a child and everything. Incredible, terrible tragedy, and great record. Yes, very, very good.
Very, very nice.
And if you knew how many paint chips I ate as a child, you would be amazed that I could remember that or figure that out.
I thought you told me at one point how many paint chips,
it
was really in the millions. It was
I mean, it was
very
enough
upsetting.
to paint New York City, I think.
Absolutely. Well, from that, we go to Finch-worthy slang. And for this Every Show feature, we are challenged to use the selected word as much as possible throughout the show, whether it makes sense or not, and often it doesn't. Our mini-winging it to get our bird juices flowing, as we say. And this week's slang word is cred, a shortened form of street cred, meaning local credibility. The slang term cred originated in the 80s and was added to the dictionary in 1981. It's used to describe the ability to gain acceptance as a member of any particular group or class. So we will be using cred throughout today's show.
Cred.
Yeah.
I swear, I actually was going to use the word cred in a song lyric.
You were not.
No, I was. I was going to say something about your street cred, something, and your facial term beat red. I was going to rhyme.
Nice. You should do that.
Well, but somebody else did it. Zach Sherwin, who used to record under the name MC Napkins, actually did that once. I was like, son of a bitch.
Napkins?
MC Napkins. I know. That's why he stopped using it. But he's a regular contributor to Epic Rap Battles of History. And he actually did that in one song. I was like, damn. See, I knew I was onto something there. But
cred.
Cred. All right, cred. We will see how much.
You have OG cred.
I do. When you're 60 years old, when you were born in 61 and you're going to be 61 this year, you got automatic cred with the young, stupid people. So.
Wow. Young and stupid. That's
what I said when I turned 60. Now I can really look down on young, stupid people. So.
Wow. Do you count me as one of those young, stupid people?
No. You're mature enough.
Mature enough. All right, fair enough.
I mentioned this on another show, but Christina is a real trooper here. I mean, this night, I forgot about the first part of her odyssey of horror. She endured the trauma of a grotesquely oversized grasshopper riding on her car all the way here.
So fucking crazy.
Hours on the road.
Very disgusting.
And, of course, A debacle involving crazy glue and peanut butter. Don't ask. Or listen to one of the earlier shows and we'll tell you all about it.
So wrong.
Emery boards, I mean, it was a real...
it was a real problem.
It's been a 1-2 punch for her. She's just probably ready to go out.
And I look worse for the wear as well, this is even worse.
This is like the 12th round in a Rocky movie here. So.
Seriously. Thank you for noticing.
We'll put it all together through my usual slickster editing. I will give myself credit for being good at one thing, and that's editing. I'm pretty smooth when it comes to the editing, and I mean I can even walk out of a live show smoothly. Remember when I bolted on the live show? It's like bye. It's like where the hell are you going?
And there I was like.
And you see how smooth it went? Yeah.
I definitely saw that you are able to be a very smooth escape artist.
It was great, yeah.
You left me fucking hanging. I worked it out, but I didn't know when you would be returning or if you'd be returning. All right, well, it's all you talking about the theme recap. What the hell is this show about?
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
I know.
Theme recap. Well... Theme recap, he said, squinting at the teeny tiny writing.
You know what? You could break out your own. You could break out your own fucking printer.
Oh, here it is, folks, and it was a good one. I ought to know this one by heart because I've been going around for a couple of weeks now singing on the Lark Kite. Oh yeah,
that's my band.
Lark Kite. That's your now. Interesting, you should mention that. I was thinking, okay, for those of you who don't know, on the Lark Kite is one of those clever bird puns that gets stuck in your head forever if you work on the show. Based on the song "On the Dark Side" or "The Dark Side," whatever the hell it's called, from Eddie and the Cruisers.
Yep.
And I remember when it first came out because I'm old enough. They were just saying this is "Dark Side" by Beaver Brown, and I thought that has to be the shittiest band name ever.
Worst.
And then it morphed into John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, but it still sucks.
Still sucks.
Still terrible.
Still sucks.
And what is that, a shoe? Was that like a loafer or
like
something?
Buster Brown?
Beaver Brown?
I mean, what's up with
sounds like it's ridiculous. But John Cafferty, indeed, and that great song. And anyway, now you too can spend the next 2 weeks going, on the Lark Kite. Now, if you don't know the song, go look it up. John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. That's inspiring, isn't it? Eddie and the Cruisers theme, and check it out. And then you will go around singing on the Lark Kite for the next 2 weeks, as I did.
Sorry about that.
It's kind of like a hazing. Sorry about that. She does this shit to me all the time, though. So anyway, that's the theme, and we shall see what about the
two birds though. On the Lark Kite, so Lark and Kite, two birds. If I can get one bird in, I feel good, but this time, two birds.
That's right. Lark and Kite are both birds. And any songs that we're looking to see if we could get songs about darkness, nightfall, the absence of light, blackness. You get the general idea here, right? Okay, so, and we'll see what emerges from that hunt that Christina goes on every other week for you guys, which I hope you appreciate. In addition to grasshoppers and crazy glue. I mutilated her with crazy glue.
I'm a giver.
She had to sand off some of her flash to get her finger back.
That's true. And then I have to drive home for about an hour and a half.
She does, yeah, she does.
So, I mean, there's love in every show. Love in every show.
You have no idea how much. And this one is a new feature called Not Twite Right. And among the sharpest tools in the shed are our audience, and we would probably intuit from that twite is the bird. That's right, not twite right. For this feature, we pretty much decimate albums we hate and detail why they aren't twite right. Was it a formerly great band with a bad album? That can happen. Or should this be the end of an already horrendous band? Is this the death rattle here? Let's find out. Well, I've never gotten hate mail before, but I think this is going to get it flowing. Please don't take this in anything other than the spirit in which it is intended. But once upon a time, a band had a huge international hit single, which was notably different than any of their previous releases. Half of this four-man group were enamored of that style anyway, so they all decided, that worked great, let's do a whole lot more of it, which is what they did on their follow-up album. The single in question was Another One Bites the Dust. The band, Queen, and the subsequent album, the redheaded stepchild of their oeuvre. The dictation note says the redheaded stepchild of the roofer. Now, I don't know anything about the roofer's children.
But they already had street cred.
Oh, the roofers? Yeah. Oh, Queen had street cred.
Both probably.
Yes.
But Queen already had earned their cred. You know, they had lots of street cred. They had stage cred. They had everything. Songwriting cred. So I think that they were set up, even if they were going to have a redheaded stepchild, they already, at least people were going to go buy it because of the cred.
They had big, deep, long entrenched cred and a lot of emotional goodwill, emotional capital is what they have. Emotional capital.
Well played. Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
That's the word I was looking for. But
Easy.
yeah,
Nice.
The redheaded stepchild of the oeuvre, the infamous Hot Space.
Every band has one.
Queen is sort of a musical A-team, but this is one plan that definitely did not come together. I don't mean to be brutal, but they're one of my all-time favorite bands.
Absolutely,
Everybody
mine
knows
too.
that.
Yeah.
And you've heard me rhapsodize. Oh no, he didn't. About them a number of times.
I just threw up in my mouth a little. But the good news is you have cred, so I'll let you get away with that.
It's the grasshopper.
That's correct.
It's in the car, I think, waiting for me.
Shit. I will scream like a little bitch.
But you've heard me rhapsodize about them a number of times, but about this, though, I'm afraid I really got nothing. And I can usually see the considerable beauty in some of the scorned artistic offspring like Kiss's Dynasty and Black Sabbath's Never Say Die.
Shit.
But Hot Space is pretty much as everybody says it is. Now, you saw a reenactment of this press conference for this album release in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, if you watch that. Now, I'm sorry, but this is a legitimate James Bond tie. That the fact that the Academy Award-winning actor who played Freddie Mercury also played the latest James Bond villain, that's a real tie right there, and no gnarled or twisted gnome-like creature would deny that. So, not saying that represents you or anything.
You're about to be in big fucking trouble.
Could just as easily not be, But
you know what? Let's take this the fuck outside. Okay. I have a grasshopper for you.
Sorry, I hunted for this thing when she got here too.
I also have some super glue that would like to have a chat with your fingers.
Oh, can you imagine if you got super glue on the grasshopper and he never left your windshield?
That would be very interesting and pricey.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not around here. You lost it somewhere on the way.
I would flatten it and emblazon him as part of my car.
I mean, I'm going to scream like a little girl if that shit gets... You should see the pictures of this thing. It's terrifying.
It's gigantic.
Now, for those of you coming a little late to the Queen party who learned most of what they know from the movie, even you all realized that Queen had 4 distinct individual songwriters. They didn't do such a great job of establishing the lead vocals, but they all wrote songs, and that was quite clear. Whoops. It would become fairly standard to have a song or two from drummer Roger Taylor, and 1 or 2 written by non-singing bassist John Deacon, who wrote the aforementioned Another One Bites the Dust. And 3 or 4 songs each from Freddie Mercury and the legend, the GOAT, guitarist Brian May. And some of my very favorite Queen songs are Brian May songs, including ones that he sang himself, especially, like Someday One Day, 39, and Long Away. He doesn't sing anything here. In fact, pretty much nobody else does.
I just wanted you to know that naming off those naming off those Brian May songs gave you a lot of cred.
A lot of credit. You see, I get cred for getting Brian May.
That's correct. Absolutely. Just so you know, so anything you say, there's cred because you just added to it because you were able to name. You didn't just say I like Brian May songs. You named specific songs, so that increased that cred.
When you're old like me and you talk a lot of shit, you do get cred.
You do. It's totally true.
It sounds so authoritative, even though I'm wrong half the time.
Shit.
Nobody questions it because it sounds like I really know.
It really does.
But
convincing.
He doesn't sing here, and nobody else does, and that's really kind of a shame. It's too bad. Mr. May's first song on this album is a doozy, though. In keeping with the new leaning towards funk, disco, et al., the song Dancer is just wicked. I will give him that. Driven by sweet riffs on a synthesized bass and featuring some of his searing guitar work, this is the sort of thing that would have made Hot Space an exciting but still hopefully singular foray into soul. But unfortunately, it's kind of an isolated incident. Now, the guy's a genius and an astrophysicist who still rocks like a damn dirty ape, to the point of even putting out a number of chunky 2-chord heavy guitar tunes that just kind of bash your head in. And there's one attempt at that here, an anti-gun tune called Put Out the Fire, but it's really kind of forgettable, and you don't have to be old like me to forget it either. So, the next album, which we'll get to, contained not 1 but 2 of these stripped and raw stompers, and they're just great. But this one is decidedly not great. There's another one here called Las Palabras de Amor, The Words of Love. And diehard fans might remember a romantic song with a foreign language subtitle and chorus from several albums prior. And A Day at the Races, Teo Toriate, Let Us Clean Together is just beautiful. We were just talking about that not long ago. But
so with this particular album, are you saying they crossed over to a different genre like disco? Is that what you're...
that was the perception, yes. Should have made that more clear because I was talking about they wanted to repeat the Another One Bites the Dust style by going into a funk disco mode. Not that the whole album is, but that's the perception because there's a lot of it there. But that's a beautiful song. Las Palabras de Amor is really another flop. Now, a good album can carry a few turkey tracks if the rest is solid, but that can't be said of this album, I'm afraid. John Deacon, who's rather fond of his funky thing, has a couple songs here, and they're nothing really that special. There's one called Cool Cat that's a nice, slow, groovy ballad. Roger Taylor gives us a couple of kind of mediocre songs and that would have been better if he sang them, but nobody sings on this damn record except Freddie, and I don't think that's good necessarily. But the real problem here is the disco, the funk, that whole thing. If it were good, it would be one thing, but the albatross of Hot Space, I hate to say it, incredibly enough, is Freddie Mercury. Cocaine is a hell of a drug, as we've previously noted. Some dudes, it'll make them like tie chicks up and burn them with knives, like Rick James. Wasn't that his gig? Yeah. But if you're Freddie Mercury, you might write some really crappy songs like the one that opens this album, Staying Power. Now, I was around back in the day, and I'd been a fan for some years, so I was there to grab Hot Space like everybody else when it came out. And I remember hearing a lot of records from back then remembering how I felt, but I can't recall this. Perhaps it's that the way we were thing, and it's too painful, and I'm trying to forget it, but... or maybe the cocaine I was on caused me to enjoy it. I don't know. But in any case, it is pretty shocking to hear, see what I got. I got a hell of a lot. I mean, it sounds like a Gene Simmons Kiss song, only with schlockier music. So that was a real stunner. Two of these dreadful dance tunes. But then there's a real ballad, a genuine ballad, which purports to be about John Lennon. It's called Life is Real, Song for Lennon. And that's kind of another suckfest, too. I mean, if I couldn't understand the words, it'd be one thing, but they absolutely kill it. It's actually not about John Lennon. It's pretty much Freddie talking about Freddie and regaling us with lines like, guilt stains on my pillow, blood on my terraces, torsos in my closet. Well, first of all, if you've got torsos in your closet, maybe you cut them up on the terraces, and that's where the blood is, and that's why you've got guilt stains on your pillow, because you cut somebody up on your terrace. That could be. Stands to reason. But the lyrics are pretty bizarre. Loneliness is my hiding place. Breastfeeding myself. I really could do without that one. And where does Lennon come in? I know I'm pretty dense, but I don't get it. But after another cringy line, namely, music will be my mistress, loving like a whore, he throws in, Lennon is a genius living in every pore. And that's the complete tie-in. So that one should never have seen the light of day, I don't think either. Now, it's true. At least I remember it that way. It doesn't mean it actually happened, though. But I did say once on the show that if you went into a Queen album with any expectations, you had only yourself to blame. But I would slightly amend that to include you could at least expect it to be really good and nothing much else, because they are pretty unfettered and unpredictable. But there's always going to be that one fan in the comments that says, this is my favorite album by this artist, but I have not read one about Hot Space, and I don't feel like writing one myself. But it is worth noting that the album also contains the classic collaboration with David Bowie, Under Pressure, though it was recorded separately and before the rest of the album. Anyway, the happy ending is the chilly reception Hot Space received snapped the band out of it, and when they went to the studio to record the next album, Roger Taylor remarked, let's give them the works, and they did indeed, even naming the album The Works. And here we had two choppy Brian May caveman rockers that actually satisfied, one of them being Hammer to Fall, which you know from Live Aid, if you've only seen that. And Roger Taylor penned a huge hit, which you also know, called Radio Gaga. And I don't know why, but I didn't think much of it at the time, but now I just get kind of misty every time I hear it. It moves me now. The love letter to radio with the hopeful but ultimately overly optimistic sentiment that radio had yet to have its finest hour. I can't see that happening, but it's beautiful anyway. And you can say they were trying to repeat a gimmick, but it worked like gangbusters. Freddie Mercury gives us another Elvis-style retro rocker called Man on the Prowl. Totally kicks ass. John Deacon scored himself another huge hit with one you probably know, I Want to Break Free. So Queen was really back, and they had several amazing albums yet to come, which is why I feel justified a little bit in hitting on Hot Space, because it was just terrible. And they knew it. They realized it after they made it. But I think it's fair to say that just about everyone found this little side trip called Hot Space hard to swallow. And, of course, maybe one day I'll fall face first into a pile of cocaine someone accidentally leaves lying around, and a ton of it will go up my nose, and if I don't have a cardiac, I will enjoy this album once again. But probably the last one you ever want to hear by this group, but everything else of theirs you should dig heavily into if you do not know. And considering it belongs in the rarefied atmosphere up there with every other Queen album, Hot Space just ain't quite right.
Agreed. From bad albums to great songs, this first artist is called Bloom, but let me share with you that it's BL00M. So it's not Bloom with two O's, it's two zeros. And the song is Lights Out, which is very fitting. And they are from British Columbia. They're pop punk and alternative. Well, the lights are going to be out, but it's going to be a darkness we embrace.
Sleeps with open eyes. And count your blessings one more time. I am not broken. No need to explain myself. These words I have spoken. I've left in mind filled with doubt. Distractions collide.
All right. Well, my goodness. Okay. Bloom, BLOOM. Or actually, BL00M.
00. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're so used to saying 00.
Sorry
as in
about that.
007, but it isn't. It's 00.
00. Yes,
Yeah.
it's very specific. Some places you can tell they couldn't get away with the 0, so they used the O's. But everywhere they can, it's 00, not 00. So I gotta respect it, and I have to just say. This track is so many things. I mean...
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I love her vocals. They're powerful, but they're not overdone. There's something about not overdoing it, not over-singing. She cuts through the very rich instrumentation, and I love that. And she gets a bit... like kind of gravelly, and it's just exactly what I needed. When she's getting really loud, her voice kind of does that gravelly thing. The overlapping vocals and the military style snare really got me. They were very unexpected and super, super strong. I mean, I will tell you, I thought this song had movements. I mean, it really did.
Yeah.
It was... There are peaks and valleys worthy of broad airplay. I mean, I feel like this hits on so many genres, not just the two that they have. And I really feel like it's a little prog, it's a little pop, it's a little punk, it's a little, alternative. It's so many things, and it was so well done. I love her. I love the band. Oh my God, I love them.
Yeah, I thought it was a really startling blend of, as you said, the alternative, the anguish thing. But to sweeten it up, I think it necessarily needs the amazing pop-punk hooks that it has, too.
So many.
And, it's kind of like Evanescence meets No Doubt, and that you mentioned that snare thing, that military, that percussion thing. That was so kind of anthemic, like U2, like Sunday Bloody Sunday sort of thing. It really... it just confidently goes everywhere. It crosses all kinds of territory. And like I said, that's a mix that you don't see very often, and it was super impressive.
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't get Evanescence from her. I don't know, I got more, I don't even know, because Evanescence is very sing-songy, very, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I love Evanescence, but it's very standard female vocals, and I thought this was a little bit different. I don't know. But it's interesting you got Evanescence. I will take another listen. I'm
thinking of that one Evanescence song. This is the only one that I really know. That was really anguishing. She's really yelling and stuff like that. But then we have the great hookiness of this song, too. So it's a good combination. I really, really love this band. I love everything they have to offer. I listened to a couple other tracks, and I really liked what I heard. So this is just one because it fit the theme. But I encourage you to listen to more of Bloom, and you can do that on Facebook at BL00M Band. So this feature is one we haven't done in a while. I'll do it better than Emu. And for this feature, we discuss covers of songs that either rival or are better than the original. And this time we are doing Twist and Shout. The original artist was The Top Notes. Cover artist was The Beatles. Now, originally it was called Shake It Up Baby, which I think is actually a very good title for that song as well. Shake It Up Baby, I would have been down. So, Derek Don Martin joined Duke Ellington as a vocalist at the age of 17. Wow. So, holy crap, what an amazing talent. And Howard Guyton was cousin to Dave Baby Cortez, who performed in The Pearls. So, these two were destined to be something. So for me, the original is R&B and soul. It feels and sounds completely different. There is a raw and emotional feeling, I really think, in the vocal delivery that is not quite there in the Beatles' delivery. The sax solo feels 60s soul rock, and I feel like it's missing from the Beatles. Like, if I listen to this song a couple times, the original, to really get the feel... And the backing vocals also are a wonderful answer to the calls throughout the song. So the lead is doing the calls, they're doing the answers, and it's just so great. And they being the Beatles, they slowed it down and they made it far more rock and roll, which is fine, but they certainly took liberties with this song. And it sounds
rather dissimilar, which is something that you and I both talk about. We don't like it when they completely bastardize a song.
So this is basically the Rolling Stones Ain't Too Proud to Beg all over again.
I mean, really, they completely, this song is not even close to what it was originally. So I'm glad that they paid these people some royalties, but they basically wrote a whole new song, and I think they probably should have given them something and said, hey, yeah, we kind of use a little bit of your song, but to say it's a cover, I think is inaccurate because it really isn't. And so the call and response in the Beatles version is still there, but it's so much simpler. It's less dense. And, there's not that sound. The sound is not as big or as huge. It's different. The song breathes a bit more, and it ambles along in comparison to the original. It ambles. It's not driving. The original is very driving and very hard, and I really liked that. The ahs are very clever. I like their ahs that the Beatles do. I really, really like it. And they make it very dancey and mid-tempo. But they sucked the soul out of the song and replaced it with grit. I miss the soul in the song. When you listen to the original, and many of you probably listening have not even heard the original. If you don't listen to the original, you can't understand the fundamental differences between the two songs. And really, they took those liberties to a whole other level that I do not appreciate. They completely changed the song, which is something that you always say you hate. It doesn't even sound like the same song. It does not sound like the same song. So I will say, for me, the Beatles did do it better than Emu, but I'm not sure this can be considered a cover.
So it's complete. It's basically a new product.
But that's not how they marketed it, and I don't. Yeah. It's not right.
So it's basically what they did with Money, That's What I Want. Sort of the same thing. Beatles did a lot of covers of Motown and everything, and no, they don't sound anything like the originals. You Really Got a Hold on Me. I mean, they did so many of them, but and of course I grew up with Twist and Shout, Beatles, John Lennon. It's all about, like you said, the focus is different. It's about the loud guitars in your face and John Lennon's throat-shredding vocal and a lot of bashing drums and everything. It is laid back, though, more. I see what you mean. But so, interesting take on that. Not so much a cover as a reinvention.
Right, which is something you have said you absolutely hate, is when artists do that.
Did I say that? I say a lot of
a million times. Yeah. You've said that. You said, I really hate it. It doesn't sound anything like the original. This is like, you've said that so many times, but now I feel like you're giving the Beatles a pass, which pisses me off because they have completely, if I need to replay the original, I will, because it's not even the same. Okay, so now we're back after you heard the original, the OG, the go-to, the thing. And what is your verdict? Same as mine, or are you saying, no, they still get a pass for completely changing everything?
I think the ones who actually changed it fundamentally were the Isley Brothers, although I thought theirs was the original and the Beatles just did a reasonable facsimile of it. I had not heard this one before. Oh, the original track, by the way, was produced by everyone's favorite murderous mop top, Phil Spector. Yeah. It's great in its own way, but it isn't as, it doesn't have the melody, but it's a great dance tune. It's very fast. It's very... it rocks in an entirely, it's a different sphere of song than the Beatles version. So I would say they did it better than Emu, but again, I agree with you. It's not the same song at all. So.
It's not, and I don't abide by that. I don't dig that. I mean, I like the song. I like both songs, but if I have to pick one, I do my research. I spend a lot of time listening to this song again to say, yeah, you sucked the soul out of it. And I think the Isley Brothers did the same. They sucked the soul out of it. They made it all mid-tempo and slower. And, yeah, I think sometimes we need to listen to the original. And I'm not sure the Beatles heard the original. And that's pretty sad to me because they're the, these are the peeps that made it what it is today. They're the ones who inspired it. And, I think the Isley Brothers took liberties that they probably shouldn't have taken. But, who am I? I know the Beatles had a huge hit with it. And they did it better than Emu because I do think it probably was more popular because it was more palatable to people, although to let's say a more broad audience.
Right.
But I think the original is badass. I mean, right down to the singing and the driving and the call and the response. sucking the life out of it, Beatles. I don't know. It kind of is brutal to me. But you know what? It worked for them, so who am I?
And now that I've heard the original, I would say it's great. I like their version and the Soul Suckers versions.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, yeah, the Beatles did it better for a broader audience, but I will say, Top Notes, you are ass-kicking all the way.
Yeah, it was a revelation to me.
It's fun. Yeah. All right, so what is up next? Could it be another amazing artist? I think it is. And it is Charm of Finches. Yes, a Charm of Finches.
Now,
I love that.
I mean, coming from bird people, and I'm only picking up what Christina is digging up as far as the birds. Just knowing that a group of finches is called a charm, that earned you a lot of cred with us.
That's right. You're exactly right. A lot of cred. Exactly. And this song is aptly named Good Night. And they are from Melbourne, Australia. And they call themselves, their genre, Haunted Folk. Wait till you feast your ears on this.
I watch your motionless picture, hoping one day it'll move. You watch my restless sleep, I call for you to show, but I see nothing at all. I came home one Wednesday afternoon. It was a long day and I'd said goodbye to you. Now every piece of me is aching for that touch, aching for that love, aching for that heart to beat. Now I won't find the comfort of your arms anymore. We won't whisper into the night anymore. No bubble baths, the waters run dry, too short. Good night, good night, good night, forever. 3,000 paper cranes we made for you. 3 good wishes with the hope to get you through. And now I wonder, were they ever heard at all? Was it the only thing we could do? Was there even someone to wish to? Now I won't find the comfort of your arms anymore. We won't whisper into the night anymore. No bubble baths, the waters run dry, too short. Good night, good night, good night, forever. We all suspended hope that it would pass, that that year wouldn't be your last. I stood in the hospice yard. I was so young, I took the burden, hold it with me every day, in the pockets of my jeans, and the smile on my face. Now I won't find the comfort of your arms anymore. We won't whisper into the night anymore. No bubble baths, the waters run dry, too short. Good night, good night, good night, forever. Good night, good night, good night, forever. Good night, good night, good night, forever.
Okay, well, that was Charm of Finches with a just brutally beautiful song that always makes me teary. This is the second time I've heard it and I started to get teary again. definitely haunting. That violin, the harmonies, it's sweet, it's sinister, somber, hopeful. And there's something about the words they're saying. They're these very straightforward words, but they're all about loss and the end and the longing and the pain and the guilt and the regret. And this is the final goodnight. And this is, something that is coming for everybody, right? The final goodnight is coming. And there is just, you start thinking about the people that you love. You start thinking about the fact that, you're getting older, right? I always say this is the oldest I've ever been. And this song just broke me down. I just think it's so beautiful. Their vocals are beautiful. The simplicity of the words, the fact that they keep saying goodbye. Good night. I'm sorry, I keep saying goodbye because it's a goodbye song, but it's so beautiful. And I can't say enough about this band. I can't wait to hear more by them.
Yeah, and the way they've described their music, haunted folk, is that's a perfect name for it. That's a perfect description. There have been songs by other acts that really have deserved to be called that. I just couldn't think of the term. I couldn't think of a handle like that. It is, as you said, totally. It's haunting. I don't know the makeup of this group because I'm just hearing this for the first time. I don't know if there's a dual vocal or if it's one singer who's doing a harmony. It's two. It sounds like, but it's like you're listening to it and it's like there's mist rolling by, and it's like one of those Celtic Woman, Lord of the Dance type things. It just takes you into that kind of area, that kind of time, out of away from everything contemporary. And just haunted folk is perfect. It's the sweetest melancholia. It is so. It leaves you at the end just hushed, and really moved. And beautiful, powerful song, and hell of an impression it makes on you. Charm of Finches. It isn't just your knowledge of bird groups, but your immense talent that has earned you a lot of credit here.
Absolutely. So you can find Charm of Finches on Facebook at Charm of Finches Band. Oh, please up the ante because I'm all emotional over here, and I like to be this way, but I need to kind of get myself back up and going after that just beautiful song.
Verklempt is setting in, apparently. This is kind of a Verklempt situation here. And as you intimated, this feature is called Upping the Ante. And for this feature, we discuss how style has impacted the selected artist or band positively or negatively. Does their style up the ante? And there's your bird for the day. This time we're going to be talking about Mr. Style himself, the ultimate rock and roll fashion plate, David Bowie.
Oh, my.
Known from the earliest days for eccentric and provocative makeup, hairstyles, costumes, music, and more, in a career spanning 26 studio albums beginning in 1967 and right up to his death in 2016. There have been many, many reinventions. And I think it's fair to say David Bowie invented reinvention. He was sort of the pioneer, not to mention being a pioneer of music videos before MTV was even a thought. But did all this morphing... it says, did all this morphine? No, morphing and shape-shifting modify expectations? Did it up the ante or even lower it? Well, David Bowie fans tend to be unusually resilient and loyal, as his extraordinary and unparalleled genius warrants.
Because he has cred.
Because he has mega cred.
Mega
Buku cred.
Absolutely.
But there were a few times when expectations were dashed, and one instance was when the touring extravaganza for the magnificent glam rock concept album Diamond Dogs, which I put you into a coma carrying on about on an earlier show, suddenly turned without warning into 1974's The Soul Tour, showcasing songs from the follow-up album Young Americans. And this has to be one of the most dramatic pivots in music history, worthy of a hard to swallow almost, were I not talking about it now. Turning on a dime from the glittery but haunting nightmare stroll through Hunger City under the watchful eyes of Big Brother on Diamond Dogs to Young Americans, a really amazing collection of blue-eyed soul and mild funk. This could be a case of rock and roll suicide. Oh, no, he did not say that. Career-wise, but he knew exactly what he was doing, because even though I was a stupid teenager at the time, if you'll pardon the redundancy, I loved it too. And, I mean, half of Young Americans is make-out music. Not that I ever enjoyed it in that way. But it's some of the most beautiful stuff you'll ever hear. Songs like Win and Can You Hear Me and so forth. Going with the production numbers and eye candy visuals of the past. And for a few years, all you got when you went to see Bowie, as I did in 78, was a band, a bare stage, and white lights. You'd experience much flashier lighting at any rock and roll bar than you would do at any grand venue like Madison Square Garden or any such during those tours. But since the band was awesome and what they were playing on that bare stage under those white lights was David Bowie music, with the Thin White Duke himself sliding and strutting onto the best concerts I ever saw roster of anyone in attendance. In the years to come, his output would veer between top 40 radio hits and kind of head-scratching, undefinable avant-garde deep cuts, but I never heard a Bowie fan once say, I'm done with him. On one notable tour, he did bring back the spectacle in a big way, to his regret. The legendary Glass Spiders show with none other than Mr. Peter Frampton on guitar, and Tony Basil choreographed, that Tony Basil of Mickey fame choreographed. This tour was described as the biggest touring set ever, designed to look like a giant spider, 60 feet high, 64 feet wide, giant vacuum tube legs that were lit from the inside with 20,000 color-changing lights. I mean, this was the exact opposite direction. Single set took 43 trucks to move and weighed 360 tons, and it just about drove Bowie out of his mind having to deal with such a production. So probably never wanted to go back to that again and did not need to, as his ongoing success proved. I'm sure he wishes he'd just saved the money and the headaches and just gone out and done the show, and knowing they would come as they did, and he did, all the way up until 2004's reality tour, when he suffered a heart attack on stage in Prague and virtually disappeared from the music scene for almost 10 years. Now, never forgetting nor forgotten, though, he delighted fans by returning in 2013 with a surprisingly conventional rock album called The Next Day. Well, surprisingly conventional as Bowie albums go. A mere 3 years later, however, the artist who was both Earthling and a Starman assumed his last guise. Battling the liver cancer that would ultimately take his life, David Bowie took a hard right 180-degree turn, releasing his swan song album, Black Star. Wildly experimental, world jazz, ethereal. It's really quite hard to define it, but that's often been the case, though. It's certainly a stunning and satisfying record and a bittersweet farewell, coinciding with his 69th birthday, which he would only live 2 days beyond. For 49 years, though, he kept us guessing, dancing, wondering, and always wanting more, and I can't think of another artist who was more insulated from expectations generated by his own intentional changes in style and presentation. It was just knowing who David Bowie was and what he was capable of doing that would really keep upping the ante. So in his case, it's definitely not an impediment, but he transcended all of that. So
agreed. Undefinable, incredible, timeless legend. Absolutely. And even though, even through the times where, he will tell you he was intentionally poppy or intentionally mainstream, it was still a stroke of genius. So I just think he really could do no wrong. Experimental, conventional, soul, rock, I'm in. So yeah, I definitely think he always upped the ante with his style, not only stylistically, musically, but style, what he wore, how he presented himself. And he was really every man's man, because even his sexuality, spoke to different people. I mean, he was to me kind of part alien, part human, just amazing. So I'm sad that he's not here anymore. The world's a different place without him here, but at least we have the music.
Pound for pound, the most talented individual in rock ever, I believe.
So we're going now to another band. This band is called Avenues, and their song, I Know This Is Gonna Get Ya, Lights Out. They are from LA. They're here in our backyard. They are throwback pop punk. So we have a little punk here going on today, and it's a good time. So let's take a listen to Avenues. that kind of hit you over the head the second it started, didn't it?
Yeah, I actually jumped because it started so abruptly with this slam bang, fist shaking energy. I jumped out of my seat.
And it also ends the same way, which is amazing. Like it starts with a bang and it ends with a bang, and you're like, both coming and going. That guitar, I love it. It adds like this harshness that perfectly complements the spirited and driving drums, which are brilliant. And, a lot of people will say, well, punk musicians, their talent is so-so. I disagree. This band is on point. The vocals are, classic punk. And it's truly also a bit of pop perfection here, a la Green Day. I mean, it's short, sweet, and is ass-kicking. I'm all about this song. The second I heard it, it grabbed me, and it's short. And so it kind of leaves you wanting more, and I love that about this song.
That's right. It barrels past you like a runaway train, and it's like your coat gets caught in it, and it drags you along, and it's like I really was like, it's like you're frozen because it is moving so fast. And like the best punk, though, it eases back the throttle for kind of a little melodic break.
There's
a
a little
bit of
moment,
breathe in there.
which was nice.
And then it just roars up again and drags you straight into a brick wall with this, as you said, the ending is like bam, just like that. It's full of youthful motivational passion. It's just like it's on fire in every imaginable way, and it was a great tune.
Okay, back to doing a feature that everybody loves, we believe. This is Hummingbirds, and we do this every other show. And for this feature, we hum songs and see if the other person can guess the song in a head-to-head battle. So this time you go first, and we will see how horribly evil you continue to be to me.
Yeah, Hummingbirds is, it presents its own unique challenges, as does various songbirds. This one, we can do the choruses, we can do the titles, we can do anything because we're just making inarticulate noises. So I'll start with one that I think everybody who's ever been near a radio in the civilized world knows quite well. La 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 la. I know it sounds like Dylan, but it's not. La 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 la. La 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 la. Uh-oh.
No idea. It sounds like Bob Dylan to me all day long.
I know. I'm so sorry. La 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 la. Oh shit. La 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 la. That part's actually better. La la la. Wait. La 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 la. La 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 la. Get you. I'll give you a couple of words. So.
No, it's okay.
No,
Go ahead.
Get you on your feet again. Relax. We need some information first.
Yeah, sounds like Dylan
Just
all day
the
long.
basic facts. Can you show me where it hurts? Uh-oh. I have become comfortably numb.
Yeah, I got it was Pink Floyd as soon as you started to sing it, but I don't know. It just sounded Dylan-y to me.
Oh, it does because of the
I was like,
no.
I'm like,
No. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I mean, I know the song.
It's only on the radio probably like right now.
I love that song.
Sorry.
All right,
Okay,
fair enough.
What do we got?
Well, apparently I give lower hanging fruit, but la 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 la.
I can't. Did we? I wonder if we did this. We've done this band before.
Uh-huh.
It has to be "Listen to Your Heart" by Roxette.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Of course, we've done this band before. I love
but
Roxette.
I wonder if we've done that song before. No, I don't think we have. No, I did the look.
You got to bring that up
No,
if we
no.
maybe did it again.
No, we didn't. We didn't. We did the look.
Yeah, I thought so
I did
too.
the look. Yeah. Walking like a man, hitting like a hammer. Yeah, it was various songbirds with the look. Tasty like a raindrop. Yeah, it was. That's what it was. All right. Oh, this is going to be another, as the British would say, balls up. Okay, let's see. La la la, no 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 no, la 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 la, la la la, la la la, la 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 da 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 la 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 da 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 da.
Okay, well, till you did that, I had no idea. So it's James Brown, I Feel Good, but I had no idea till you did the da-na-na-na-na-na-na, which,
I didn't give you the words, did I? So that's fair.
Huh.
It's one for you. Chalk one up to your column there.
Yeah, but you kind of gave me more than the la-la, so...
I had to do the horns,
Okay. La 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 la. No. La 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 la. No.
It's good to be stumped.
La 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 la. La, la, la. No, you're not going to get it from that if you didn't get it from the chorus.
It's good. I'm glad to be stumped once in a while because I start to feel bad knowing them because you give me such good ones. I'm going to kick myself, but what is it?
Shock the Monkey.
Oh, do it again.
La, 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 la. La, 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 la.
Oh, yeah, I never would have gotten that one. The lyric I would have gotten... But
you don't know Shock the Monkey?
No, of course I do. Of course I do. It just, the melody, I don't know, I just couldn't get it from the melody. I mean, if you played the backing track, I would know it immediately. If you did a lyric from it, I'd probably know it immediately, too. But the melody on its own, I couldn't grab it out of thin air, out of the ethers of all the music I've ever heard.
All right.
Fair
enough.
Hopefully this will be a little more fair for you.
I don't think fairness is your bag.
I do. I strive for it. I strive for it. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Uh-oh.
I don't know what that is.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I'm sorry.
Oh, Natural Woman.
There you
Aretha.
go.
Yeah, but you have to do like half the song. I don't understand why I'm not getting it. I mean, I know that song like the back of my hand.
That's another one for you. Okay, lay it on me.
La 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 la.
Oh.
La 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 la.
Oh,
la 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 la.
Whew. I was getting worried there for a second.
La.
True colors. True colors, Cyndi Lauper. Oh, I was getting worried there for a second. All right.
You don't give you really hard ones. I mean, I give you Peter Gabriel. I mean, that's not hard.
I'm shocked, like the monkey, that I couldn't get that
like
one.
the monkey,
Just
of
like the
course.
monkey, yeah. All right, how about this one? I'm changing this one at the last minute because to make it even more accessible.
Don't dumb it down for me,
No,
man.
it's not dumbed down. La 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 la. Okay, got to go to the verse. La 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 la. La 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 la.
I have no idea what that could possibly be.
La 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 la.
I don't know what song goes.
La 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 la. Oh, just that. We'll just focus on that one part. La 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 la.
It sounds vaguely familiar, but with all the other stuff, I don't have any
La
idea.
la la la. Uh-oh.
It's all right. I'll admit defeat. I'm used to it by now.
I'll give you a hint. High fidelity.
It's okay. It's going to be okay.
It's not going to be okay.
I have no cred. It's okay.
I'm sorry you've lost so much cred in this.
Yeah.
Ooh, baby, I love your way.
That was Peter Frampton?
Yeah. I was going, la, 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 la. La, la, la. I was doing it every day. La, 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 la.
See if you did the la, 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 la. La la la.
I did that part once, but I maybe didn't do the intonation as well as you do. But
maybe that's what it was, because I was like, some of it sounded familiar, but then I couldn't get it. All right. We'll see if
it's a tough game. It is.
Let's see if you get this one. La 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 la. La 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 la. Chorus. La 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 la.
What the? That's not real.
La 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 la. La la.
Okay, I have concluded that that's a real song, that you didn't just make that up right now.
I did like the whole first verse and the chorus.
La, la, la. I know it. Curses. Foiled again. Just tell me and put me out of my misery.
Oh, it's Kaja Gugu with Too Shy.
Oh. I would not. I might have been able to pull up the Kaja Gugu. Once I figured out Too Shy. I would have gotten the name, even though it's the only thing I've ever heard by them, I think.
I think it's the only thing everyone's ever heard by them. But it's a wildly popular
song.
song.
Oh, yeah, it's a great song. I was singing it a few days ago for some inexplicable reason.
I started with the la 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 la, so you could hopefully pick up on it from the verse, because the chorus was too easy to me. Just going right into Too Shy to Shy. It seemed too easy.
I heard it. I heard you do it, and it was like, no, what is that? I know that.
I know that damn song.
Too Shy. Damn it. Okay. Well, I didn't keep score there, but it seemed a little more even.
You got 2, and you got 2 right and 2 wrong, which is strange. No, you got 3 right and 2 wrong. No, you got 2 right, 2 wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And you got...
which is very strange.
What'd you get?
I don't know.
Oh.
I figure I just lost all of them.
Oh.
I think I got 1 right.
That's a fair assumption. No, actually,
it is a fair assumption when
you
got it.
You got James and Aretha. You got JB and Aretha, King and Queen of Soul.
That's
the Godfather of Soul and the Queen of Soul.
Godfather and the Queen. It was too shabby.
It was Peter Frampton and Pink Floyd you didn't get. Okay.
Yeah.
PF and PF. Yeah.
Which is surprising, because I know both of those very well.
Yeah.
But All right. Well, for my defeat yet again. I know we're even this time, but I feel like I did worse, and that's okay. But now we're going to go to which I can only assume is Eliani with Moonlight. And Eliani is from Perth, Australia, and she describes herself as R&B, soul, indie pop, and pop. Are you ready for this amazing mashup of styles?
Let's go down under.
Hell yeah.
Killing time by staring at the clocks, wishing I had the power to make time stop. Compatible understatement, loving you, I kinda hate it, nowhere to go to escape it, but still you are the only one I see, lying in your arms, falling asleep under the stars that love was ours. As we smile about the lives we'll live together someday. Moonlit skies through starry eyes, no more disguising who we wanna be. A
That was Ileani with Moonlight. Now, one thing that none of you know about her yet is that she's 14, and she wrote that song.
What?
She's incredible. I cannot say enough about her. I mean, such a mature vocalist for a 14-year-old. She wrote that song. She arranged that song. Those are her beautiful vocals. This pure, soulful, I mean, those runs, the melody, the harmonies. I mean, she's brilliant. I can't get enough of her voice. 14 years old to write something like that, to sound like that. I wish I could sound like that now, and I am definitely not 14. She's just incredible, the whole thing. I love it. And she's not on Facebook. She's probably not old enough to be on Facebook. She's not on Instagram. She's only on Bandcamp.
Wow.
And I feel so fortunate because I looked up the word Moonlight that I came upon her. I just think she's an incredible talent. I cannot believe she's not on the radio. I think she will be. But when you see her, she looks like a little girl. She's a little kid. It's amazing. And I could not believe. I'm looking at her picture and then hearing this voice, and I was just blown away.
No, I never would have guessed that was a kid because that's the way 30-year-old women sing today, or try to. I mean, it is very mature, as you said, and the song was so it's so sweet. It's needy and vulnerable, but it's hopeful too. It captures love so well. I'm really surprised to find out it's from somebody so young. It has a real cool kind of a music hall feel to it, and it's a little torchy, a little jazzy. It was just beautiful and stirring, and just made you feel, just give you an affection for the narrator, and super impressed to find out that this is a young person really starting out with a massive talent, obviously, to write a song like this. So congratulations to Ileani, I believe it is, and thank you for helping us to have a good day. She's cringing over here. It's like I did that just to make you cringe because it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, we have to keep each other awake.
I really like the fact that she is R&B and soul and indie pop. This is the way R&B and soul should sound to me, mixed with pop. I think this is the kind of stuff I'd rather hear on the radio than a lot of stuff that's out there, and I have no doubt she'll be on the radio eventually. So you can find her on Bandcamp at Ileani, which is ELIANIE.bandcamp.com.
And that brings us inexorably to the results. Hell yes or hell no. For this feature, we consider bands determined if we are in for them or out, away. We ask you also to weigh in. We want to know your opinions and what you think. And this time, the last time, the interrogative we pitched in your direction was Pat Benatar, somebody who we all know very well. And I guess I'm not surprised that 100% of the respondents said, hell yes for Pat. Are you kidding? And 0. There were no cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers who dared to open their filthy sewer holes and say a word again, Pat. Everybody said yes, and nobody said no. And I would certainly have to agree. What do you think?
No, I love her.
Yeah.
We had tons of people who wanted to weigh in on this, and they did want to sound off in the comments and say how much they love her. There was one person who said they love her. They just wish she wouldn't have done the, quote, love is a battlefield, love is a battlefield era. And, again, we said that whole thing. Everyone is going to hate some era of an artist. Get over it. Even if you didn't like the 80s era Pat Benatar, first of all, how could you not? But if you don't, there's plenty of other Pat for you to love, and you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself because she's brilliant. But even they could not say that she wasn't great. They just said, I'm not sure about that love is a battlefield thing. And, I'm not saying it's her best work, but I'm not saying it's something I can't sing along to either.
I think the problem with Love is a Battlefield is that millions of people are subconsciously and completely unaware of the fact that they are scarred by seeing the video for that song. It's kind of hard to... it colors everything about it. I mean, it's a ridiculous video, but the song is actually nice. I like that period of time better than, like, say, Hearts, for example. Love is a Battlefield, We Belong, I mean, that's good stuff. To me, that's really good stuff. And
Yeah,
I
I
just
thought it was
love
great.
that. Yeah.
It's a stupid video, but there's a million stupid videos out there. So
80s videos.
you can't
What do you want?
discount
I mean,
her for having a stupid video when everybody had a stupid video and
it was,
still does.
It was a requirement in the 80s. Stupid videos.
Weird dance sequence, weird outfit, weird premise, the whole thing very strange. But you know what? Then we wouldn't have any artists that we like if we discounted them for a stupid video or stupid outfit.
They've all made them.
So, yeah, not surprised at all. And she was one of my very first, obviously, Ann Wilson and Pat Benatar, two of my very top women that I listened to when I was really young. And, you know, really, I guess how I honed my voice is listening to those kind of singers. And, of course, there's a host of others, but those were two of the main ones. So, love her. Glad everybody else loved her. And, you know, there's always haters, so I'm glad there wasn't any haters in this case. Or if they did, they were quiet.
That's right. I think the love for Pat this time was like a tidal wave.
All right. Well, there you have it. Okay, so the last band that we are going to listen to is called Daddy Lap, which is a very interesting name. I have questions, but I'm going to let that go because they're not here. And the song's name, I know this is crazy, is Lights Out. And they're from Jersey City, and they are funk, metal, classic, and psychedelic rock. Holy shit.
That is promising.
right, Daddy Lap with Lights Out. Well, guitar and drums, yes. The bass line, yes. The chorus is a little punky, and why not? I love it. Lights out. She just, it's kind of balls out there. The male backing vocals I love because they could have just had her harmonize with herself, and I love that they didn't do that. It's different. And the musical break in the middle gave the song enough space to breathe, but then she came back in with that driving lights out, and I really liked it. And, you know, this is, I don't know how to describe her voice. It's, there's no vibrato there. There's none of that. It is like I don't know. It's kind of like a straightforward.
Yeah.
Kind of just in your face. It's a little punky to me, which I like. I think it works for this particular song, even though they don't describe themselves as punk. They say funk, metal, classic, psychedelic, and I would add punk to that.
I would too. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It certainly has a metal edge. It's a little bit funky, but more punky, I thought. Really classic pop punk, and as you said, the vocal is so elemental and so unadorned. It reminds me of like Suzi Quatro kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, with the
well
shouting
said.
Choruses and everything. And it had its little proggy twists every now and every here and there too.
Yeah.
Super catchy.
And it's the psychedelic part. They're calling it psychedelic, but I would call that slash prog.
Yeah, it's like that, and it was extremely catchy and adventurous in that it didn't seem to. I don't know. It ran its own way. It didn't have. It didn't fit any particular formula. And it was just one of those things, and out of the box kind of. It was inventive, and I really, really loved it. It was a hell of a lot of fun to listen to, too.
Hell yeah! And so, you know, I tried to find them on Facebook and on Instagram, and I was not able. But you can find them and buy this track and anything else they have at Daddy Lap. That's DADDYLAP.bandcamp.com. And this one hit me over the head, and I'm sure they have a whole litany of others that would do just the same. So, well, that brings us to the end of our artists for this particular show. But let's talk about what we're looking for next time. Well, it's interesting because as far as the new theme goes, we're actually not going to have a theme. We have so many off-theme submissions that we simply have to halt our themes to listen to them. I have so many that I need to go back and listen to. And if I can group them into themes, I will. If I can't, then I'm simply going to be presenting some of the off-theme songs. I don't know how long it will take, but I'd like to get through a fair amount of them because they are amazing. And thank you so much for your submissions. Please keep them coming. Anything new, tell your friends that are in bands. Tell other people that we are looking for submissions at bofonair@gmail.com at any time. Yes, we asked for on-theme submissions, but obviously we also we also receive and are happy to receive off-theme submissions, and we will get to them, but we have to exhaust our themes first. So we have done so for the time being, and we will be enjoying some off-theme submissions. I don't know about you, but I'm really freaking excited about this.
They're just off theme, but then that kind of becomes a theme in itself, actually. We're just going to let you steer the ship with your wonderful submissions, and thank you for that. So look forward to the off-theme submission shows. And on this chilly California night, what does a puppy need more than to be wrapped up in a neat little blanket, as we will do with the show. Coming up next, Winging It. Enjoy this short, brief show that covers one topic, no music, no features, just mainstream music chat, opinions, and uproarious laughter. We offer you entertainment every week, and subscribe to our feed is where you can find it at BOAF On Air. That's BOAF, as in birds of a feather, onair.podbean.com. And subscribe or listen on your favorite platform. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at BOAF On Air, all over the place. BOAF On Air, BOAF On Air. And we want to grow our flock, and we need your help. So please share us on your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. feeds, and show your boys a little bit of love. That's all we ask of you. And, I guess that only leaves for you to say,
let's get the flock out of here.
This has been Birds of a Feather on What the Flock Radio.